to say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right, thank you. First of all, once again, we thank you all. And individually as well, for the co-creation of this interaction, the allowance of this transmission, and the creation of a stronger link and a bridge between our respective realities. We would like to begin this transmission with a reminder that we have titled it, Going Mad. Mass agreement dissociation. Now, what does this really mean? Obviously, when you have agreed to participate in this physical reality on your planet of Earth, you came in knowing that there would be certain parameters, certain rules, certain conditions, certain concepts and ideas that would be germane to the Earth plane, to the idea of having a physical incarnation in the Earth reality. And therefore you agreed to abide by those general rules, especially the ones that simply define on the most basic level what the reality experience is that you call physical. However, you know, as we have said many times, that physical reality is just a projection of consciousness. In a sense, as we have reminded you, you actually never really leave spirit. That's your natural state. But in a sense, while you are still in spirit, while the greater you is still in spirit, you are dreaming that you're not. That's what physical reality is. It's a focused dream in spirit that you're not in spirit anymore. But you are. You never leave it. Nevertheless, while you are experiencing that physical dream, you focus yourself, you limit yourself, you forget yourself, so that you can have the experience of remembering who you are from a new point of view. Remember that if you exist only in a timeless state, there is no opportunity for change, growth, discovery of a different perspective. So you create this focus called physical reality in order to be able to discover yourself from a new point of view, in order to change, in order to grow, in order to have a different idea of who and what you are as a being. And when you enter the idea of a mass consensus agreement, as we said, you will all agree that certain things will be common for most of you. But in this day and age of transformation on your planet, the things that used to be common for the majority, the vast majority of you, are now not necessarily needing to be as rigidly adhered to. You can begin to break away, you can begin to experience that the mass consensus is in some sense softening a bit. You can now begin to awaken to more remembrance and understanding that physical reality is just a dream. And most importantly, you can begin to realize that you can create the life you really prefer to have. Now, when we talk about the idea of dissociating from the mass consensus, please understand, we're not talking about breaking the laws or doing things to other people in any way, shape, or form that prevents them from doing what they need to do. This is not what we're referring to. The idea is to allow the synchronicity that begins to occur when you truly are in alignment with your true vibration, when you're following your excitement and living your passion, to allow the synchronicity that naturally results from that to demonstrate to you, to show you, to guide you as to what path actually works for you and everyone else, that will allow you to express yourself more fully and to become the person that you truly prefer to be in this day and age of transformation. So let us give a little bit of an example here of what we mean. Obviously, most of you are not going to let go of some of the very fundamental, the very basic mass agreement rules and conditions of playing the physical reality Earth game. For example, 99.99999999999999999% of you will most likely not give up on the idea that there is gravity. So please, when you understand the idea of dissociating from the mass consensus, it would not necessarily be wise for most of you to go walking off a cliff thinking that you're going to float, because most of you won't. Of course, unless you hit the bottom of the ravine, and then you'll float out of your body, if that's what you prefer. Nevertheless, while still adhering to many of the consensus agreement parameters of what it means to experience a physical reality on the earth plane, there is a lot of leeway now as to how you can experience that and what you can do with those rules and regulations and how you can play within the overall game, your own game, more fully, more freely, with more fun, more freedom. This analogy, perhaps, can be best described by the game you know as chess or checkers, where you know that if you have decided to play chess, you're going to have to play by certain rules, or it's not the game of chess. So you will play on a chess board. You will use some kind of pieces that have certain kinds of moves that are laid out and described by the rules as to what the rules of chess are. However, there's a lot of freedom in those pieces. There's a lot of freedom in how you play, the strategies that you use, even what the pieces themselves may be. You can play with what you would call traditional chess pieces. You can decide, as long as the person you're playing with agrees with you, to play with coins, to play with jelly beans. It doesn't really matter, as long as you know what moves you are assigning to those pieces and what they represent to you. You can change what the pieces are to almost anything you would like them to be. So too in life, even while playing the game, is there a lot of freedom in exactly the piece you describe yourself to be, how you move on the board, what strategies you use to move through the game, how you experience those particular moments of interaction and outcome, really is left up to you. Play the game of chess you will, but there are an infinite number of ways to play, an infinite number of kinds of pieces you can play with, an infinite number of ways to describe yourself as a chess player, and what kind of game you are playing on that chess board as a chess game. So it's time to open up and be a little bit more free, or a lot more free, with how you see yourself within your relationship to the mass consensus, and how you also choose to define your individual agreements within the consensus agreement, so that you can experience the amount of dissociation from the mass agreement that is relevant for you to allow you to live your life in the most ecstatic way possible, because that is allowed for you. Nothing that you have ever been taught about the rules and regulations that the mass consensus has agreed to need to prevent you from truly experiencing a life of ecstasy. Many people on your planet have been taught for thousands of years and many generations that you can't do this and you can't do that and you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. And while some of that advice may be beneficial and may even be to the benefit of making sure that you don't kill yourself while on Earth, a lot of it really has more to do with social ideas and outdated and outmoded understandings and medieval mindsets and things that are no longer relevant for your world as you expand your consciousness and understand what it means to be an aspect of creation. So it's really up to you to unlock yourself, to let go of outdated definitions of who you believe you can be, or who you've been taught to believe you cannot be or should not be. For if you have within your beating heart the burning desire to know that you are more, the burning desire to express that ecstasy on your planet, then that fire is lit within you for a reason. And that fire is representative of the flame of creation itself. And giving over to it will guide you unerringly by carrying your own light along the path that will be highly illuminated for you, where everything will become clear, as long as you stay in alignment with your true frequency by acting on your highest passion. So when people tell you when you attract into your life those who are the naysayers, please do remember, as has already been said many times on your planet, all the great changes that have ever occurred on your world are usually the product of a single individual vision. And then eventually the mass consensus starts to come around. There is a saying on your planet: truth goes through 3 stages. First, it is ridiculed. Then it is violently opposed. And then it is finally accepted as self-evident. So weather the storms that may come when you are standing tall in your own truth, for they will pass. They will pass. And you can stand as an individual beacon lighting the way for others to show them by your actions, by your demonstrations, by your examples, that they too might also benefit from standing tall. And when there are those that tell you you're standing too tall, you're rising above the crowd, that is hubris, that is arrogance. Don't believe them necessarily. It's always wise to take stock of yourself and make sure that you're not falling into your negative ego. But if you have determined for yourself with an honest self-examination that standing as tall as you do is the result of and representative of the idea of being who you are and expressing your passion, then remain that tall and let others rise to meet you. Don't lower yourself to meet them. For if you do, all you're doing is reinforcing the negative consensus that says no one is capable of achieving those heights. Show them that it is possible, and whether they choose to match those heights within themselves or not is not the point. At least you have provided an example that they can. And thus you have lightened the world's ability to choose something that may be more representative of who and what they truly are. And that's all you really need to do. We remind you that when we talk about the idea of dissociation from the mass agreement, that this is highly connected to the concept that we have discussed many times of acting on your highest passion to the best of your ability with absolutely no insistence or assumption as to what the outcome ought to look like. That third part is one of the parts that most people on your planet often conveniently forget. Nevertheless, when you do that, you activate the complete kit of excitement, which contains the tools of all the support you need in whatever form it needs to come. It becomes the driving engine of your life. It becomes the organizing principle of your life that lets you know what you need to do, when you need to do it. It becomes the path of least resistance that allows you to really flow through life in an effortless way. It becomes the path that leads to all other expressions of excitement that are relevant for you to experience in your life. And it becomes the reflective mirror that reveals to you what you may be holding on to in your unconscious mind that might be out of alignment with your excitement, so that by becoming aware of it consciously, you can deal with it, you can let it go, and add its energy to your overall excitement. And once you have allowed the complete kit to serve you in that way, then whatever circumstance or situation crops up from the actions that you have taken in alignment with your excitement, all you need to do from that point forward is always make sure that you are defining that situation, no matter how it looks, in a positive way so that you can get a positive and beneficial effect from it. No matter how the situation may have initially been generated, no matter what anyone else's opinion in the same situation may be, if you define the situation in a positive way, that will be the effect that you get in your life, regardless of the effect anyone else may get out of the very same situation by defining it negatively, because all things serve double duty, as we have said many times. So these are the 11 elements of excitement, where you act on your highest excitement every moment that you can, to the best of your ability, taking it as far as you can until you can take it no further, with absolutely zero insistence or assumption of what the outcome ought to look like or how you're going to get there. And that opens up the 6 elements of the kit that we just named. And then the last 2 are your choice of whether to assign a positive or a negative definition to what situation crops up when you have taken those actions. That's it. That's the entire formula. It always has been, it is now, and it always shall be. The entire formula for living your life in the most effortless way And acting on this formula and allowing this formula to work for you in an automatic and immediate way is what will allow you to naturally start dissociating from the mass agreement in the most relevant and natural way for you. Because creation knows exactly who and what you are by your frequency. And it will always be capable of giving and flowing to you all those things that are relevant for you. Always. Remember, the things that are relevant for you are always flowing to you. If you're not perceiving them, it's not because they're not flowing to you. It's because you're keeping them away with your beliefs, with your definitions that are out of alignment with who you truly are. So the idea of manifesting things that are relevant for your true core frequency is not an issue of having to make them happen. It's an issue of allowing them to happen, of letting go of the things that are not relevant for you and letting in the things that are. Because the things that are relevant will always be in alignment with your truth, with your joy, with your passion. Always. That's the definition of relevance. Because it's the definition of you. You are made from ecstasy, the energy of existence itself. And only those things that are truly relevant for you can be magnetically attracted to you. And only those things that are not relevant can be repelled by you automatically. But if they're not going away, then you're holding on to them too tightly. Let them go. They don't belong to you. So, in this day and in this transmission and in this interaction, let's really get down into the details of allowing yourself to dissociate from all the things you may have been raised or taught to believe that hold you back from being who you truly are as an individual. Because paradoxically, even though a lot of the mass consensus doesn't understand this on your planet, paradoxically, when you are really allowed to be the true individual you are, that's what actually helps the mass consensus best. Because you're showing them what their potential is, what they're capable of being. You're giving them an option they may not have considered before. And that's what helps you grow as a civilization, as a society, as a species, as a physical experience. That's what helps you grow as a consciousness. So, if you allow yourself to remain in alignment with your true vibration, never worry that being an individual is somehow taking something away from helping the group. It is only by being the full individual that you are that you can help anyone else. Because if you don't help yourself first, you're not capable of helping anyone else. Make sense? All right. So, on this day, let us explore all the ways in which you can begin to let go of those parameters, those limitations which no longer serve you, the outmoded, outdated definitions and beliefs that you were brought up to believe that simply don't belong to you anymore and really never did. And start infusing your consciousness with new ideas and new perspectives, new definitions that really allow you the freedom to be who you truly are. Because every single one of you, without exception, are absolutely powerful enough to have every single thing that is relevant for you without having to hurt anyone else or yourself in order to manifest it. That's how powerful you are. When you are being the puzzle piece you were created to be in the shape you were created, then you will fit with all other puzzle pieces also allowing themselves to be the shape they were created to be. It's only when you attempt to be a shape you're not that you no longer fit in the big picture puzzle and thus prevent the big picture from being formed that is capable of supporting all the pieces within it. Make sense? Of course it does. That's why we said it. So then, let us open up our dialogue now with your questions, your comments, and let us explore more deeply what it means to be the true you. You may begin with your questions if you wish. And let us say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. Thank you. We would like to begin this transmission first and foremost by congratulating each and every one of you and all of you together for shifting to a parallel reality in which you experienced a tropical storm instead of a hurricane. Very good. Well done. This is a prime example of what these kinds of shifts can do. Again, as a reminder, you're shifting all the time, billions of times a second, from parallel reality to parallel reality. But the idea is that when you gain conscious understanding of this, and you choose to remain in a specific vibration that is representative of your preference, then the design, in a sense, of the parallel reality you start shifting to, one after the other, becomes more representative of the reality you prefer. And so you smoothly, effortlessly, seamlessly, and immediately shift and transition to those parallel realities where thus then in that reality suddenly all the information is different. Now you can do this in a variety of ways. You can do it in such a manner as to not even know that you ever experienced another reality, as to not even know there was a shift. But because this is the age of where you are becoming more aware, more conscious of the fact that you are creating your reality, thus then you will give yourself more often than not the opportunity to remember that there was another reality that you used to perceive and that you have in fact actually made a shift and that you are consciously aware of the fact that you've made that shift. You're aware of the change itself. This is something that you will do for a while until, as you say, you get your parallel reality legs, until you become used to the idea that this is what is going on. And then you may allow yourself to simply relax the need to know that you've shifted from another reality, and you will simply experience whatever reality you are experiencing without necessarily having any remnant or indication that you experienced anything else. But for a while, in this time of transition, you will experience the idea of the transition. You will experience clues and indicators. They will still remain. They will still be in your reality that you in fact did shift your reality, to give you more and more understanding of how simply and easily and effortlessly you can do this, to give you all the clues, to give you the path you can trace and say, yes, I remember that in that reality everyone was saying there is a hurricane. And in fact, in that reality, it is a hurricane. But you have shifted to the idea of a reality where it has always only been a tropical storm. And that's the reality that you're in now. In fact, if you actually take a peek as we sense the energy in your area outside, you will find that things are now relatively calm. The idea is that you have now continued the momentum of shifting so that in that sense you will allow yourself to know that at any time and in any place where you feel that there is an experience in that reality that is not compatible with the vibration of your preference, without fear, without panic, without any kind of negative idea, without even devaluing the idea of the reality that you don't prefer, you will simply now draw upon the experience that you have had today, draw upon the energy that you have created individually and collectively in this day and time now, and you will apply it automatically and effortlessly and even perhaps even a little bit unconsciously in times to come, so that when you feel the need to shift, you can simply find yourself navigating more easily in the direction of the parallel realities that are more representative of what you prefer. Even though we originally talked about the idea of the title of this particular transmission as being Refining Your Life Story, and to some degree there will still be conversations back and forth between us this day involving that concept, we would now like, in the spirit of the shift, to shift the idea of the title of this particular idea to the eye of the storm. We don't mean E-Y-E, we mean the letter I. The eye of the storm, meaning you. So in this sense, you will know you are always at the center of the creation of your reality. You are always the calm spot, no matter what is going on, what is swirling around you, and whatever chaos seems to be happening all around in the reflection. You are always the eye of the storm. And thus you know that you can shift your direction any way, any which way you wish to, in any manner that you wish to, and that this now has become something more innate, something more ingrained within you. Because of this particular experience that you were willing to co-create with us, you now have tapped in directly to the idea of the taste of that vibration. You now know that signature. You now recognize that frequency. It is now a part of something that is conscious within you, and all you have to do to create it at any time, in any place, in any reality, is simply remember this moment. Remember, recall, reconnect to this moment, this feeling, right here, right now, in the eye of the storm. And that will be the vibrational state that you will immediately shift to. And from that state, you can thus then navigate yourself toward any direction of any parallel reality representative of the life story that you have visualized earlier on in these transmissions in, of course, that other reality. But the idea now is that this is a new reality. And you know now in this reality how to shift more consciously, because that is a part of the definition of this reality. And it has always been so. So the idea is that as you shift into a parallel reality, not only in that sense, thus do you change what appears to be the present, you change your history, you change your past, you change your future, because those things are just illusionary offshoots of the idea of your existence in the now. And so in this particular parallel reality now, where you are experiencing the eye of the storm, a tropical storm, not a hurricane, and it is now calm, you now realize that it has always been this way, that this vibration has always been with the person you are in this reality. Because the person that was in that other reality is still there. The version of yourself that is in the reality of the hurricane is still experiencing the reality of the hurricane. But you have shifted your consciousness view, your perspective, now through the eyes of the version of yourself in this particular reality to experience this thing that is more representative of the vibrational energy of peace, of tranquility, of growth, of renewal, and experience the shift in this area in this manner because of the vortex you created. And in creating that vortex of energy within yourself, that vortex matched the vortex, overlaid the vortex of what was the hurricane, and allowed it to shift in that sense, allowed it to transition into the vortex that you were providing, which became more dominant, the vortex of your parallel reality that was more representative of the way in which you preferred to experience that transition, that renewal. And thus then you yourself became the idea in the old reality, shall we say, of the vortex of the hurricane, and allowed it to transition into the parallel reality of the vortex of the tropical storm, and now are transitioning it, even as we speak, into the vortex of this calm state, this bubble reality that you have created. It may still seem in some senses that all around the area you are in, there may still be the vibrations of the idea of the old reality, but you are now within this peaceful, calm, crystalline bubble of a new reality that will expand outward, expand and expand and expand, so that as you, as an individual, go on your merry way, living your life story, you will always remain connected to the group dynamic that you co-created together here today. And no matter where you go on your globe, no matter how far apart individually you may seem to be from another individual in this group, you will now always be interconnected, regardless of space and time. You will always now have that vibrational bubble that you will always be in, and you are always capable of not only being in it in a group consensus sort of way, but you can also utilize it and allow yourself to manifest what you will as an individual using that group dynamic energy. Is this making some sense to you? All right. So, with that now firmly in the minds of the new people you have created yourself to be, that we are talking to today, whom we have never spoken to before, nice to meet you. We welcome the idea now for the opportunity of a little bit more interaction, and in these interactions we will explore further the idea not only of refinement of your life stories in whatever manner you wish to explore these ideas, but also open up to you a little more that in this parallel reality that you have shifted to now, there is actually more availability of certain kinds of information to you than was in the old reality. So it depends upon what you may be inspired to discuss and what doors you may choose to open that will determine what information we are now allowed in this reality to download to you. But we will allow you to discover what that is on your own, not wanting to let go of the mystery that's involved. But we'll see what surprises may come up now that we are communicating to a very different reality. So you may begin with your sharing.
I'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? Thank you. Allow us to begin, first of all, by thanking each and every one of you for co-creating this interaction with our civilization in this way, this day of your time. Each and every time any one of you helps to create this kind of interaction, it forms a bridge, it forms a link between our respective civilizations. And we always enjoy the interactions because by being allowed to interact with each and every one of you individually and all of you together collectively, we are afforded an opportunity to experience through you different points of view that exist within creation. And this expands our understanding of all the different ways that creation can express itself. So we thank you for the gift that you are giving to us in forming this interaction. Now, we would like to begin this interaction by stating that a very specific kind of energy shift is coming in your upcoming year that you call in your counting 2007. And we would like to explain in a little bit more detail what we perceive from our perspective to be some of the patterns that will flow from the changes taking place in your years to come. Now, let me remind you that there is no such thing as a prediction of the future. There is, however, a sensing of the energy that exists at the time the prediction is made, a sensing of the present. And if that energy does not change, then what is sensed can come to pass. But when someone senses that energy, they are not sensing the future. There is no set future. There are infinite probabilities of many different things, many different paths that can open up. And depending upon where you choose to focus your individual and collective energy, that determines the path you shall experience. But as we read the energy that exists now, at the present time, what we are about to say is what seems likely to unfold based on the strongest energy patterns that we perceive. Now, we would like a volunteer to write something down. Anyone? Yeah. All right, you. Do you have what you call your paper and your pen? Yeah. All right. Any one of you may write this down as well if you wish for yourselves. But first, write down these numbers. Are you ready? Are you sure? All right, just checking. 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11. Have you got that? All right. Take your time. Now, also write down, in another column if you wish, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Have you got that? All of you? All right. Now, 2007 begins a new cycle of energy, a new collective momentum, a new collective inertia in the general consciousness of your planet. And that, in the beginning of this cycle, will be a starting point for a number of things that are to unfold as we perceive the energy at present. The first number, 3, added to that will take you to the year 2010. That will be the next marker or milestone, if you wish, in this general pattern we are outlining here now. Then, from there, you may add the 5 and bring yourselves to 2015. Then, from there, you may add the 7. Then, from there, you may add the 9. And then, from there, you may add the 11, bringing yourself ultimately to your year of 2042. You follow along? I'll wait. Now, in each of these blocks of time, of 3 years, and 5 years, and 7 years, and 9 years, and 11 years, across this 35-year span. Now, in the first block of 3 years, also count 1 year from that beginning. So when you say 2007, the first span of 3 years to 2010, but also make a demarcation 1 year into that, bringing you to 2008. That's another demarcation point. Then in the idea of 2010 to 2015, bring yourself 2 years in, from 2015 to 2017. That's another demarcation point. And then add in each successive block, again, the idea of 3 years in, 4 years in, 5 years in each of those blocks from the starting point of the beginning of each block. You follow me? So you have, as I said, your 2007 to 2010, that starts the 3-year block, but go 1 year into that also, 2008. Then you have your 2010 to 2015, go 2 years into that, so that you get your 2017. And apply 3 years to the next block, 4 years to the next block, and 5 years to the block after that. Those will give you all of the main demarcation times that we have talked about for certain events to occur, and also that many of you have been aware of for a while about different beings, different societies, different ideas in your culture of different demarcations for things to happen. For example, as you have in the second block, your 2010 to 2015, going in 2 years brings you to 2012, which many of you have for a long time been discussing as a major threshold crossing point. So you will see that in this overall pattern, you will be able to mark general crossing points that will be indicative of certain societal changes, certain changes in awareness that will bring you to the next level, the next step of changes going on not only in your society, but changes toward the interaction of your society with societies from other worlds. And as we have said, when you get up the scale a little bit in this pattern, around your years of 2030 and up, you will find that there will be open contacts occurring on your planet between yourselves and members of other societies. And by the ending of this cycle in 2042, Earth itself will, in a sense, have already been enlisted within an alliance of a variety of worlds. So this 35-year span represents your inclusion from the beginning point to a point where you are full-fledged members of an alliance of a variety of civilizations. And along the way there will be different incidents, different events, both in your society and as you observe other things going on in your universe, that will show you that you are progressing toward an expanded awareness that will bring you more and more into contact, not only with more of yourselves and give you more ability to choose what kind of world you actually prefer, but will also bring you closer into contact with beings such as ourselves, so there can eventually be face-to-face interaction. 2007 begins the acceleration of that cycle that then, in a sense, ends in 2042, but then continues on a very different level altogether. From that point forward, you will be being trained how to interact with other societies who are also evolving in ways that you have already gone through, in ways you have already experienced, so that you will be able, as a society, to begin to help them learn to evolve their societies in ways that you have learned to evolve. But that will take place, as we said, after your 2040s. But in the meantime, many exciting things will happen as we read the energy now. Now, so keep that in mind. Use it as a template. See what happens around those years and begin to understand the pattern of energy, both within yourself as an individual personality and in the collective society. You will see many different things that will start to happen in and around these times. Give or take a few months here and there, one side or the other. But we are giving you a template so you can follow along now in this time your own progress of acceleration and evolution in the expansion of your consciousness as it relates to discovering more of yourself and as it relates to discovering others that are aware of you and have been aware of you for thousands of your years. And as you come into more contact with us and others, it will also accelerate and increase your understanding of who you are as individual people and as a civilization. And it will start to illuminate the choices you have made in creating your society, so that in looking at those choices, you can decide more clearly what choices you would like to make from that point forward to create the society you all say you would prefer to have on your planet. So use this template and see what insights can be gleaned from it as you compare the events in your society to the years that are marked on this particular template. You will learn a lot about patterns of consciousness that occur within your collective self and your individual self. It's a tool we give you to have some fun with. Now, we would also like to say this. We have now been communicating with your society in this way, as has been pointed out, for 23 of your years. Part of the change coming up is that the way we are doing this will now change also. Tomorrow of your time, it has been discussed that we shall conduct what you in your language call a workshop. We will conduct this workshop on what you call your west coast of your country tomorrow of your time, and in 1 month thereafter, we will conduct a workshop on the east coast of your country. That workshop on the east coast of your country will be the last workshop of its kind. From that point forward, there will be something different. We will, as far as the idea of workshops goes, in time, help create what might be more readily called a curriculum that will actually be offered through what will come to be understood as an Institute of Applied Metaphysics. That curriculum in a sense, will be something you can begin to study at your own pace and apply the tools we have discussed with you for 23 of your years in such a way that you can really strongly begin to apply all these things in your own way, at your own pace, to your own life, and get very specific changes by training yourself how to do what we have come to learn to do naturally with every breath. Thus, you will be immersed in an atmosphere and an environment of learning these ideas, these tools that we share with you in such a manner akin to what you may call your schools, so that it will truly be steeped into you in such a manner that it will become second nature to you, rather than just hearing the information now and then. It will provide a true training over a long period of time to allow these to become ingrained behaviors, so that you will have profound effects on your life rather than just intermittent ones. This curriculum and the Institute of Applied Metaphysics will occur in time. Perhaps, again, over the course of what you may call the 3 years in the first block from 2007 to 2010. Most likely will this curriculum appear and the institute that will allow you to apply it. But there will not be workshops of tomorrow's nature again. You are ready for something different. You are ready for a different level. Now, there will continue from time to time be the availability of having what you are experiencing this day of your time to be questions and answers, interactions of a type. But what will eventually also replace the timing of these Q&As or incorporate the Q&A will be something that we will begin to deliver on our schedule, on our time, that you might call State of the Union addresses. Because now that you are going into the cycle of the pattern, of the template, of truly moving toward becoming a member of an interstellar alliance, we will include you in a variety of State of the Union addresses to update you on your progress and assist you in learning how to become more interactive within that alliance. Be a true, full-fledged member of that alliance. So, instead of the idea, thus then, of just Q&As, although these will include the ability of dialogue back and forth, they will be more like reports, States of the Union, States of the Interstellar Union, if you wish. It is time that these formats change, and at this time, we will be the ones to determine at this point exactly when and where they will occur. So, simply be open, and synchronicity will bring you the information, and you will be where you need to be when you need to be there. Information will be provided through usual channels, no pun intended, and you will find out the information that you need involving the changes I am now speaking of. And this brings us to the third item we would like to address this day of your time, and that is with regard to the energy vibrational changes taking place within each and every one of you individually. Many of you understand that your vibrations are raising, your vibrations are increasing, taking you to a higher level. Now, some of you don't necessarily always know this or are aware of this, but over time, you have increased your frequency, you have raised your vibratory level of energy. It's just that you may be so used to it that you don't necessarily know that this has happened. The example we often give to illustrate this point is that a person who lived on your planet, say 300 of your years ago, if they were to suddenly be transported to your present time and were to look at any single one of you, they would actually see you as glowing. Your vibration is that much higher in 300 years compared to theirs 300 years ago that you would appear to be glowing to someone from 300 years ago. But to you, it's natural, so you don't notice it. It's your natural vibration now, but it has raised over time. You are higher energy level beings now, and your vibration will continue to rise. But here's how it rises. Because some of you have been experiencing the idea of what you call ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs in life. And you say, why is my vibration not always going up? Why does it sometimes go down? Here's why. Remember that some time ago we said expansion and evolution and growth is the product of inclusion, not exclusion. You are gathering all of the things from lower vibrations you need to look at to integrate them into the higher vibration. So your general cycle is rising into a high vibration that gives you the ability to dip into the lower vibration and bring up to the higher vibration issues, beliefs, definitions that you need to resolve, that you need to integrate, that you need to process. And by going on a higher vibration, it gives you the ability to do that, to dip lower, so that you're gathering all of yourself together, including all of your experience of life. And as you do that, it's not that you're going like this and traveling in a straight line. You will start doing this and start averaging a higher vibration. As you dip down, you will not dip down as far as you did before. As you rise up, you will rise higher and higher. And the average of those two, no matter how high you rise and how low you may go, the average of those two will constantly be rising. That is how you do it. So invite the idea of what seem to be the low points, because it is those low points that allow you to gather things that you don't want to leave behind, ideas that you need to examine, beliefs and definitions that you need to process in order to truly integrate yourselves as holistic beings and raise your vibration in general to be able to manifest the life you prefer more and more easily through ecstatic explosions of synchronicity. Because synchronicity is one of the first and primary side effects of beginning to live in the moment, beginning to live in the now, beginning to be your true self. Synchronicity is space-time, physical reality's way of showing you that all things exist now. But in linear space-time, the only way that you can experience that is by many different things happening coincidentally all at once, one after another, showing you that things are linked, things are connected, that you are manifesting these things. And as you live more in the now where everything exists, then physical reality, which is a mirror, can reflect back to you through synchronicity more and more and more of all the things that exist with you right here, right now. Many people talk about the idea of creating your reality. You don't really create it. It already exists. Many people talk about the idea of attracting the reality you prefer. You don't really attract it because there is nowhere out there to attract it from. There is no outside. That's an illusion. It's not that you're creating the reality. It's not that you're attracting the reality. What you are creating is the experience in your consciousness that is most reflective of the vibration on which you exist. That's what you're creating, the experience. Reality is experience. There is no empirical reality outside of you. It's all within your consciousness. But you can create the appearance. You can create the experience of physical space-time. You can create the experience of an outside so that you can play a game of investing yourself with new knowledge about yourself by creating perspectives that otherwise could not be created without that format. But it's all taking place within your consciousness. And it's all just a matter of perspective. That's all it is. So when people talk about creating their reality, yes, in a way you are. When people talk about attracting the reality they prefer, yes, in a way you do. But it's already here, all here, right now within you. So what you're actually creating with your vibrational changes is the experience, and that's the reality. That's the reality. It's not so much what happens, it's how you respond to what happens that determines the vibratory frequency that determines your experience of reality. That's all it takes. You're already here, you're already now. There is nothing really you have to learn how to create. Nothing really you have to learn how to attract. All you need to learn is how to allow the experience to happen that is most reflective of the vibratory signature you're giving off, and then respond to it in a way that is reflective of the kind of being you prefer to be. That's all it takes to have an unlimited experience of synchronistic reality in ecstasy, excitement, joy, unconditional love. That's all it takes, is the willingness and the allowance to let it occur, to let it reflect the true you. But we understand how many of you were raised on your planet, and we understand the definitions and belief systems that you were raised to buy into, and we understand that what you go through is part and parcel of the process of getting in touch with what those beliefs and definitions are, so that in doing so, you can then decide whether those definitions work for you or not, whether those definitions are in alignment with your true self or not, whether those definitions and beliefs are what you prefer to believe or not. And in getting in touch with them that way, it is up to you, up to your free will, up to your ability to choose what definitions you believe are most true for you. And that will be the reality you will experience, because it all happens within you anyway. The experience of physical reality fundamentally exists for one reason only. So you can have an experience called choice. That's why it exists. Without physical reality, things happen instantaneously. But in physical reality, you can have an experience of creating something, of taking time to experience a process, of savoring the mechanism of creation. You can have choice. That's what physical reality is all about. And what you're all awakening to now in this day and age on your planet is the realization that that's all reality is. Making choices. That's all it is. The experience you have of reality is completely the result of the choices you make based on the definitions you buy into most strongly as true. That's it. That's how it works. It's the only mechanism there is. I know, it's too simple. We know that humans love to complicate things. And if you enjoy that, then by all means, please go ahead and do so. We will not stop you. We want you to do what you enjoy doing. We are simply here to let you know there is another way, and we think most of you are beginning to get some inkling that that's so. And so we are here to reinforce for you that it is so, if you want it to be so. It is what works for us. It is what works for many other beings. It can work for you too, if you choose it to. But you don't have to. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to. Whatever you choose is perfect, because it's your choice. You see, once again, as we have said many times, this is the beauty and the paradoxical proof that creation is absolutely unconditionally loving and supportive. Because you are allowed to believe anything you want and experience it as true. You are so unconditionally loved and so unconditionally supported that creation will even support you in believing you are not unconditionally loved and not unconditionally supported. That's how unconditionally loved and supported you actually are. That you can even believe you're not. That's how much freedom you have, how much allowance you are given. Your reality is firmly in your hands, and it's up to you to decide what to choose. It's only a product of choices anyway. So it's really up to you to get in touch with what definitions and what beliefs you may have that has determined your experience of reality to this point, and decide whether those beliefs belong to someone else, whether they still work for you or not, or whether you can let them go like baggage you no longer need to carry with you. And remember, keep it simple. The universe, even though in a sense complexly rich, is fundamentally very simple. It's just a matter of identifying what the definition is that you have bought into and letting it go as something that no longer works for you as a choice. That's all it really takes fundamentally. Although, because we understand that many of you really love processes, there are sometimes other steps that can be added to that to help illuminate this concept a little bit more clearly for all the different points of view that come to this understanding. But because we are having this conversation with you this day in this way, we will at least assume that most of you are beginning to get an inkling that it is simpler than you think, and we are here to assure you that it absolutely can be if you choose it to be. So, with all this in mind, and applying these ideas and many other ideas we have spoken of over time to your own individual perspectives, you may, if you wish, at this time begin with sharing through questions and answers.